Sean Combs' legal team is coming out swinging, cross-examining his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura for days on the witness stand. The defense zeroing in on a series of text messages between Ventura and Combs, trying to cast doubt on her claims that she was coerced into so-called freak-offs. Combs denied all allegations against him, and his attorneys are now trying to portray Ventura as a willing participant in what they describe as his swingers lifestyle. One message from Ventura reads, "I'm always ready to freak off." In another, she writes, "The freak-offs felt right." What happened in court, what's next, and how these messages could impact both sides of this explosive legal battle. Cassie Ventura was back on the stand Friday in the federal racketeering and sex trafficking case against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, the defense trying to paint the picture of a complicated but consensual relationship between the two. Ventura testified that Combs beat her and coerced her into having sex with male escorts, sometimes on camera, but Combs' attorneys are pushing back, arguing that Ventura wanted to participate and enjoyed them. According to court transcripts obtained by Law and Crime in a 2009 exchange nearly 2 years into their relationship, Combs texted, "I miss you already." Ventura replied, "Me too." Combs then asked, "When do you want to freak off, LOL?" Ventura answered, "LOL, I am just going up to change and put my ring in. I just picked it up. I'm always ready to freak off, LOL." Combs wrote, "You tell me the day you choose." Ventura responded, "It can be whenever." He answered, "Name the night." 4 years later, in 2013, Vento messaged Combs saying, "Wish we could have before you left," using the initials for freak off, and in 2017, she texted him again, saying she, quote, "loved their freak-offs." In another exchange, Combs wrote, "I want to freak off right now, LOL." Ventura replied, "Lol, me too, well. I want to have fun with you." Having Ventura read those messages out loud in court was most likely strategic. It's a key moment for the defense as they work to undermine her claims of coercion, because in this case, it all comes down to consent. For the jury to convict Combs on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering, they must believe force and coercion were involved. The defense also arguing that if Ms. Ventura was ever hesitant to participate, it wasn't because she was forced, but because she was jealous and wanted more out of the relationship. The attorney asked, "You testified on direct that you were insanely jealous, right?" Ventura responded, "I did say that, yeah." The attorney asked, "And you reacted when you saw social media posts of Mr. Combs with other women, right?" Ventura responded, "Yeah." Combs' attorney also brought up Ventura's past comments about Diddy's longtime partner, Kim Porter, who is the mother of 3 of his children. Ventura admitted that she used to resent Diddy spending holidays with his family, and Porter, instead of her, Vento wrote to Combs, "I understand you feeling like you need to protect your children, but after a while, for what it's like, for what they've never known you and Kim to be together unless there's something that I just don't know about. They were babies when we started dating. If Chance can go away with her dad and not her mom, I think the other kids can too. The more time that goes by, the harder it is to understand." During the first week of trial, the defense also brought up Diddy's long history of drug abuse, trying to shift the narrative away from a man allegedly running a criminal operation, and instead paint him as someone spiraling out of control from addiction. Ventura testified that Combs' addiction played a role in his mood swings, admitting that at one point he was hospitalized after overdosing. The defense asked, "So, almost the entire duration of your relationship, you were both addicted to painkillers?" Ventura responded, "Very close to it, yeah." The attorney asked, "But periodically withdrawing and being affected by the withdrawal symptoms in your relationship, right?" Ventura responded, "Yep." The attorney asked, "And that was a big part of Mr. Combs' mood swings, right?" Ventura responded, "I don't know if it was a big part, but it was a part." The attorney asked, "You understood that if he did not get his painkillers that he was relying on, that it would affect his mood, right?" Ventura responds, "Yeah, anybody that's addicted to painkillers is like that." Law and Crime Channel anchor asks question, "How do you think the defense did you know questioning Cassie for hours and hours and hours?" So, I mean, it's very trying. What they had her testify obviously was very sensitive. They're having her read text messages. This is very personal, and coming from someone who had testified, before about what she was an abused woman, and then having to relive that under the circumstances and the fact she's so pregnant, I think she did very well. Prosecution, they were arguing that, and Cassie testified to this, that she was abused, that she was raped, that she was coerced, essentially, and did not want to participate in these freak-offs. But after reading the text messages and that the defense brought up, it seemed like it was a different picture. They painted a different picture. How do you think the defense is doing to try to counter some of what Miss Venture said during that testimony? The defense is doing a really good job at chipping away at it. I think the defense says that basically, Diddy did abuse her. We have the video. I don't think they're countering that, and he had a public apology, as we know, but he's saying that abusing someone, domestic violence, is not RICO. She wasn't coerced into it. And bringing out those different text messages where she was saying that, she was asking and saying that she liked these freak-offs, does support that. It was not, she wasn't forced into doing it, that she actually enjoyed it. And the question is really, is the jury believing that? Because we do know battered woman syndrome, sometimes they do things that seem out of the ordinary and contra to what was really going on. Right? And I was just about to ask that. Do you think that the jury is believing the defense? Or do you think that they're taking the side of the prosecution? Because I feel like everyone is really leaning into Cassie's every word the first couple of days when the prosecution was questioning her, listening to, her what she alleges is abuse, right? And then when they saw those text messages and Miss Ventura said things like, oh, I always want to freak off. She said something along those lines, or, oh, I wish I could freak off right now. And Mr. Combs is asking her when she wants to do it, and she's saying, whenever you want to. Just seeing those things, how do you think that they're taking it? Well, we'll see ultimately how they take it. But remember, for coercion, you can be consenting and then change. You can change your position that you don't want to do that anymore. Number one, number two, once we add drugs to the mix, that really does support coercion. If you are drugging someone, that supports the fact that they weren't consenting at the time to what they were doing. So the defense needs to chip away and really go towards that she was consenting, but the prosecution needs to hammer down that, yeah, at one point she may have been consenting and she may, she changed, or that she was just sitting saying this. And I'm assuming they're going to have an expert that's going to come testify about, the psychological aspects of being in this type of relationship. But she also said on the stand that she still has feelings for him, that it's not that she has a hatred towards him even as she sits there today, which to me was extremely surprising because what we heard when she was testifying for the prosecution, I think I would personally have extreme hatred for him based on that testimony. Well, what do you think that means? I guess like how you said, we're waiting to hear just from an expert that can really touch on the psychology of it all. But the fact that a person that she's claiming did do these things to her, right? Did allegedly rape Hurley, drug her to participate in these freak-offs, and she doesn't hate them. What do you think that the expert will say to kind of combat that? I think it would support the fact that someone who has been battered does have that push. Pull me that you have a situation wherein somebody doesn't stay in a bad relationship because it is bad all 100% of the time. There has been testimony that he can be very charming. He's a very charming person. It was like a switch. So there had to be some good times that were in those bad times. And it does seem the text messages do seem to support that as well. So I think that the testimony from the expert is going to say, yeah, there was this conflicted feeling, this conflicted relationship that was going on, and there was grooming that was done as well. What do you think we can expect to happen next? I know the next witness that's supposed to take is Dawn Richard, and she was in a former group that Diddy had made. What can we expect to hear from that? I think we're going to expect to hear the same, similar of the same. I think each person is going to get up the victims and talk about the same pattern and how they were either drugged and coerced. And the prosecution does need to do that. They need to show this version because right now with her, because this was a long relationship she was in with him, this was over a decade. That the question that the jury is probably asking is, why? Why did you keep coming back? So then if we show the next person and that cumulative is going to get us to the jury, most likely being able to see that there was coercion. And I just want to touch back on what you just said about Cassie and Diddy being in a long relationship. I mean, it was 11 years. And the defense, they showed text messages from 2009 to 2013 to 2017. Really showing in each of these messages, showing her saying things that, she did enjoy the freak-offs. I'm still just trying to figure out because it seemed like they laid down the foundation. While yes, it's true, like how you mentioned that she does have the right to change her mind and she does have the right to say no. How exactly just does the government prove that? Like, how do we know when she did say no? Or how do we know when she did change her mind if they said that throughout the course of their relationship, she kept saying yes? I have to just put her testimony. I mean, I think her testimony saying that, but it seems to me that her testimony wasn't very clear. I think the prosecution may have missed the mark a little bit with the coercion to make it very clear. And that's why you're asking this question right now, which is a very good question. How are you going to get the jury to say, okay, there was coercion, and when did the coercion start and end? And that's going to be a jury question. And that is really why you need that common cumulative of the next witness saying, yes, I was drugged. The drugging is a very big element because if you're drugged, that really goes towards the coercion, because how did you consent, especially if you didn't know you were being drugged? And we also have her testimony about the fact that she was raped that last time. So that we have that situation, which does seem like a very clear divide, because she said she ended the relationship and she was meeting him one last time, and then there was this rape situation that we have that had happened